2311 is odd to me because by all aspects of their team, they should be a team that's on the rise and possibly a fringe championship team that could possibly get a car into the round of 8. They have 2 young drivers who have been ascending in their careers. They have Toyota support. They have just about everything money-wise done for them. They got it all down. Sponsorship, not a problem whatsoever. Yet, time and time again, 2311 is a mediocre team. A team that is making up that range of 10th to, say, 25th every week. And yes, not all of it is their fault. There's bad luck, but everybody has bad luck. And it's really, really odd seeing this after all the hype and after the teams that have been rebranded or made around the same time as them, like Trackhouse and RFK. So today, I want to look at why this is. Why is it that 2311 just cannot get into a winning groove and can't run consistent ever? I think the first logical spot to look at is the drivers, starting with the guy that they've built the team around, Bubba Wallace. Wallace is a figure that definitely gets viewed in different ways by different people, but on the track, he's been a mid-level driver. In 2021, in 36 starts, he did manage to get his first win, and only 3 top 10s, which all were top 5s in that span. He had about a 20th place average finish, and finished 21st in the final standings. But to be fair, for first years with new teams to the sport at that, that's not bad whatsoever. It's honestly pretty good. And the next year in 2022, while in 35 starts, he did get a win and 5 top 5s and 10 top 10s with an 18th place average, 19th in the overall standings. Many are going to remember him for this fight, but honestly, from being there, I remember from the Kansas one he had. He had true speed and came out in force. And then this year in 2023, in 23 starts, he has 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s, a 17th place average finish now, and is 14th in points, firmly in the playoffs. Now, while he doesn't have a win, the speed has been a bit up this year, but it's still noticeably mid-pack. It's only a 7-space difference in the points from 21st to 14th. But I'll say this, I don't think the numbers do justice to how well he's actually ran this year. But before we do that, let's go look at the 45 team for the most part with Tyler Reddick and then also Kurt Busch last year. With Tyler Reddick in 2022 at RCR, he had 3 wins, 3 poles, 10 top 5s, and 15 top 10s. Led over 500 laps, a 17th place average finish to boot, and finished 14th in the playoffs. This year so far, he does have a win and a pole, 6 top 5s, 9 top 10s, led about 300 laps, still has a 17th place average finish, and is sitting 13th in the standings. There's really been no discernible difference when it comes to the average running of Tyler Reddick this year when it comes to the raw numbers, aside from wins. Of course, going to Indy where he won last year, that can very well change in the last part of the year as he showed, but still, it looks the same. And then Kurt Busch last year had 20 starts with the 45 team, a win, 5 top 5s, 8 top 10s, 182 laps led, a 17th place average finish, and 14th overall. I think we're starting to see a bit of a pattern here. All of these drivers, Bubba, Tyler Reddick, and Kurt Busch, this year and last year for Busch, averaged 17th. And again, it's not all their fault. They were caught up in different accidents, stuff like that, but still, it's been consistently mid-level again. DNF-wise, you're seeing a huge difference with Reddick this year at 3 compared to 8 last year, though with 13 races remaining, 5 DNFs, while not impossible, it's probably unlikely. And Bubba this year has 5 DNFs compared to the 7 he had last year, which 2 in the last 13 races is very possible, especially with road courses and super speedways coming up. But overall, they've been about the same. But I think that there is the elephant in the room that we got to talk about here. Pit road. The 2311 pit crews, especially this year, but also just in general in their existence, have been pretty bad. Tyler Reddick, for instance, I think is the biggest one we can now look at for this. At Michigan yesterday, as of recording this, Tyler Reddick was on the same strategy as eventual race winner Chris Buescher. He gamed down pit road for the last pit stop of the day and leapfrogged over the 17 who was over Martin Truex Jr., the car he ended up beating. I'm not saying that Tyler Reddick would have 100% won yesterday, but it's pretty clear that Reddick had the catbird seat in this. But what happened? Well, literally the wheels came off. The crew did not tighten the right rear wheel. He spun it out in turn 4, made a great save at that, and ended up not winning the race, multiple laps down, and losing another shot at a great points day because of, well, ineptitude. And this is nothing new whatsoever. This has been an ongoing issue for years. Bubba Wallace's crew, over and over again, has cost him top 10s, top 5s, and even wins if you look at, for instance, last year at Kansas. So at this point, what's the team to do? They've went from having rented out JGR pit crews to now having their own hired guns, and nothing has changed. I think at this point, they may have peaked as a team for what they can do. They're consistently 17th with all 3 of these drivers. Kurt Busch, a driver who can make any car run fast. Tyler Reddick, a guy who's been on the rise for years, suddenly plateauing off. And Bubba Wallace, while having a bit of an improvement this year, a 1 position average finish improvement, still feels like he's leaving tons on the table. And that's the thing. It's odd saying that they've peaked when they're leaving a lot on the table. But these crews are not getting better, and by no means should they even be considered a round of 8 hopeful with these crews. Because at crunch time, if the drivers don't mess it up, the crews will. And the thing is, I think they need a complete rebuild. I think that they need to completely, from the ground up, rebuild these pit crews. The teams like crew chiefs, car chiefs, and drivers, they all seem to be mostly on the same page. There might be different heated radio discussions, but that happens with every driver. Anyone from Jimmy Johnson to Dale Earnhardt all the way down to the Starton Parkers has had that happen before. There's also another major elephant in the room to look at other than pit crews. Michael Jordan. Now listen, I know Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin co-own this team, but if you're going to have MJ on it, he better be more than a figurehead, even if he's just footing the bill. And if you look at MJ when it comes to ownership and being involved in teams, well, it's not the greatest track record. And the biggest one to look at here is the Charlotte Hornets, who went 423 and 600 in their 1,023 games as Michael Jordan having the ownership role. In 13 years, they won 41% of the time and only made the playoffs 2 of 13 seasons. I'm not saying it's a one-to-one comparison, but there's a track record of MJ being the greatest player ever, in my opinion, but not being the greatest owner ever by any means. And whether it's a culture issue, whether it's just a bad hiring issue, whatever it is, this stuff all needs to change. The drivers, in my opinion, are drivers who, in Tyler Reddick's case, can actually ascend past these issues at different times, but not consistently. And Bubba Wallace, I'm sorry, he's not going to ascend past having these issues constantly popping up. And with somebody who is definitely difficult to keep confident, that could be a killer for a team, because if push comes to shove and Bubba drives his ass off in the round of 12, or God forbid the round of 8 and gets costed a great shot at a championship by his crew, I don't see him recovering very quickly from that compared to other drivers. But that's just my take on it. I think 23XI has potential, but 3 years of just having potential has only produced a couple of wins, and that needs to change. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to you. What do you think of 23XI? Do you think that they're just a team that's right on the edge, or do you think they need to have wholesale changes? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all of my channel members for your continued support. It means a ton. And until next time, have a good one.